Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Dream Big Today. It's Monday. It's a great day. It's beginning of a week. Have you prayed to, ask God to direct your days at the beginning? We'll be talking about in Psalms. Well, you know what? Maybe I want to go ahead and talk about Psalms right now, because to me, like today compares to being early in the week. We might just do that. But right now, my name's Debbie. I welcome you to put your prayer request and your praise reports in the chat box. And you see, I'm here with no tears in my eyes. What a difference a day makes and a week makes, almost a week. My husband had surgery on his back, and we're in the healing process. And so he's experiencing the pain of healing. Now, at least we know there's an end in sight. But prior to that, we had no end, and that makes a difference. You want to know that that the day will come where we won't feel any pain. Well, you know what? We know when that day is. It talks about that in the Bible. When you experience the pain, whether it's physical or emotional, it's a tough one to deal with it. And this is why we have to dig into the word every day, just to receive that hope and know that no matter what you're going through, God already knew all of this was going to happen, and he's prepared you for such a time as this. And so in my devotion today, good morning, Cindy. Good morning, Yolanda, my sweet friend Yolanda. I'll see you tonight, and I'm praying for you today. Today in my devotion, I just wanted to start out a little bit on that. It says, Sovereign God, your word tells me that you guide me in the way of wisdom and lead me along straight paths. That seems so simple, doesn't it? But yet, sometimes I feel confused, struggling to find the right way forward. Why would that be if he's making the path straight? Why do we struggle to find that path? It says, I've tried so many things and I've been so hopeful at times, but my hope-filled paths have led to disappointment. I'm thankful that you fully understand how hard my journey has been. See, we're not promised that everything will be perfect. We live in a fallen world. We know that there's going to be bumps in the world because John 10:10 tells us that you will have trouble, but I've come to overcome. It says, even though I wish for easier circumstances, I believe that you can bring good out of every bit of my struggle. You, Lord, in whatever you're going through today, it's not easy, but just keep your eyes looking up. Keep focusing on God, on this path. Help me to walk the way of wisdom, trusting you no matter what happens in my life, no matter. I know that steadfast trust in you is essential for finding and following the right path. I love it when it talks about the right path. And then at the end, I'll stop. It says, I'm learning to walk by faith, not sight, trusting that you are indeed leading me along straight paths. See, last week I had to walk by faith. I just knew that God had everything already orchestrated on how our medical stuff was going to end up. I didn't know how it was going to work, but thank goodness he has it all worked out, because I would have never expected us to really jump in and do that. I was praying that he would have surgery, and God answered that. And so anyway, I'm just grateful. I am so thankful that everything worked out. So now let's jump into our reading today. And oh, wow. This is September 19th. This is the best Monday ever, let me tell you, in reading and in healing. Isaiah 30:12 through 33:9. So we start out with judgment to come to Judah. So you know what? They really didn't want to depend on God. They needed to see where they were going to get their help. They wanted to see physical things. And yes, Yolanda has put her note in there. Today, our friend, our dream big girl, Yolanda, is going to her mom's funeral. And so she shared that. And so keep Yolanda in your prayers today. And then tonight, Yolanda is going to come with me to Bible study, to ladies' Bible study. And I got a special seat just by me for her as we study the word. And that's such a great example of keeping God there. Go towards him, focus on him in all of these challenges that life has, just like this today, in celebrating her mom's life and loving God, and her mom is in heaven. So thank you, Yolanda, for sharing this morning. Okay, so as we get on down in here, the reply of the Holy One of Israel: because you, Israel, despise what I tell you. Then it goes on to say, calamity is going to come on you. You're going to be smashed. And then verse 15, this is what the sovereign Lord says: only in returning to me and resting in me will you be saved. Only in returning. See, trusting God's promise means returning. We trust this. We trust his word. If there is any conspicuous disobedience in our lives right now, we must trust and return to the Lord. Returning also has the idea of drawing close to the Lord. Drawing close to the Lord. See, that's what Yolanda is doing today. She is drawing close to the Lord today. And that's where you get your comfort, is drawing close. In one of my notes, it's talking about the quietness and strength. And this is good for you too, Yolanda. This is good for me last week whenever we were going through our stuff. Sometimes God lets us run the course of our own self-sufficiency until we have proven, not only to ourselves, but to everybody else, that we cannot do it on our own. See, that's why we reach out to our friends. You have a inner group, an outer circle. You have friends that you don't know real well. But the thing about it is, we have people that we can talk to, and we need them. Then he says to us in a soft voice of Isaiah, in quietness and confidence shall be your strength. Another translation for quietness and confidence would be utter trust. Do you trust? Quietness plus confidence equals your strength. And this is not the formula of the world at all. This is the formula of God. And then one more thing, and then I'll get back to the reading. The inward fortitude needed to face life's difficulties comes only as we open our hearts to Christ in those quiet moments, ceasing from any activity and letting him supply the guidance, the confidence, the direction as we reflect on his word. And this comes from my David Jeremiah study Bible. It's so good. It gives us the just a reminder of getting that quiet place. Go to that prayer closet. Go out to your on your patio and just kick back and just let God speak to you in the quiet, in the early morning hours. And then we get on down to verse 18. It says, so the Lord must wait for you to come. I listened to a pastor talk last week, and he was talking about so. And that was funny, a 2-letter word. So all of this, everything that came before that. So because of that, the Lord must wait for you to come to him. So he can show you his love and compassion. Come to him so he can. For the Lord is a faithful God. Blessed are those who wait for his help. A call to trust in God's timing. Whenever the Lord waits or seems to delay, it's always a loving purpose behind it. We can trust that even when we don't understand it, because God is so great, there is a built-in blessing for those who wait for him. It isn't just a sense of passing time. We think of waiting, well, we'll just sit down and not do anything. We're going to wait. We're going to patiently wait. We think that's what patiently waiting means. We tell our kids when they're little, go sit down, be patient, go. Or go sit in the corner in your chair and be still. Well, it's not that you're doing that. It's just being patient and trusting his promises. Continue doing your business, but don't try to orchestrate things yourself, because it's not going to work out the way God had planned. I would never want God to step aside and say, Debbie, just, you got this. I'll talk to you later. You just handle your day. You just handle everything about your husband's surgery all by yourself. See how that works for you. Man, I'm glad he's got it. So, verse 19, O people of Zion who live in Jerusalem, you will weep no more. He will be gracious if you ask for help. He will surely respond to the sound of your cries. He will be gracious when we, God's people, wait on him. He'll pour out his grace. He'll pour out his grace at the cry of their heart, of our heart. Though the Lord gave you adversity for food and suffering for drink. See, I don't like that. I don't want that. I don't want that kind of food. I don't want to drink suffering. But it says he will still be with you to teach you. How do you learn if you don't have some bumps in the road for you to start building your faith and your trust and being able to understand that God is with you at all times? How do you would never have the faith that you do when you go through something tough. It's better to be uncomfortable and in tune with the Lord than to be comfortable and out of step with God. Your ears, or let's say, you will see the teacher with your own eyes. Your ears will hear him. Right behind you, a voice will say, this is the way you should go. This is the way. Man, all of this is so good, y'all. I'm having to jump around because too many good things. I just kept digging. And I another pastor I heard talking about when you're studying is ruminate. Meditate, ruminate. Well, you know what? We ruminate is like the cow that goes out and eats, and then he swallows, and it comes back up. He eats and swallows. I'm sorry if you're eating breakfast right now, but it is so it can get every bit of nutrition out of the hay or whatever it's eating, and that helps it process. Well, that's us. When we go in and we read this, and I thought about that yesterday because I thought, man, every time I read something, something else pops up, excuse me, and I ruminate on his word. I don't read it once or twice. I need to read it several times and let it soak in, and something new will come up that I hadn't even thought about. Verse 23 talks about if you do all of this, then the Lord will bless you. And then it's promises, God's promises to bless nature with abundance. This amplifies the fact that God's saving presence is symbolized by light and will be evident to all. Look at verse 26. The moon will be as bright as the sun, and the sun will be 7 times brighter, like the light of 7 days, all in one. Only he can do that. That's not climate change. That's God. Verse 27 says, look, the Lord is coming from afar. Isaiah sees that judgment coming quickly. Let's jump on over to, verse 29. But the people of God will sing a song of joy, like the songs of the holy festivals. You will be filled with joy. In 1 John 4:17, it says, in this way, love is made complete among us so that we will have confidence on the day of judgment, because in this world we are like him. And then verse 30, it starts talking about the glory of the judgment of the Lord. And I'm going to just jump. It says, and the Lord will make his majestic voice heard. He will display the strength of his arm. At the Lord's command, the Syrians will be shattered. Remember, in 2 Kings 19:35, God sent the angel of the Lord, one angel of the Lord, and in one night killed 185,000 Assyrians in one night. When they woke up the next morning, they looked out over the fence, over the wall, and all of these people that they were afraid of were dead. The angel of the Lord. It says, and the Lord strikes them with his rod of punishment. And then verse 33, Topheth. Anyway, a place of burning has long been ready for the Assyrian king. See, God's got this. We don't have to worry about revenge or paybacks. But this Topheth was a deep pit located just outside of Jerusalem, well known for its site of child sacrifices. Child sacrifices to pagan gods. Just as a fire devoured those children, so God's judgment would destroy the Assyrian king who threatened Jerusalem. And you know, when I read that, sacrificing the children, I thought, what is that for us today? Is that the abortion just because we don't want a baby? We sacrifice it, we throw it in the fire. You know what sadness is going to come to all of those people that participate in that made those rules, that law is in place for that. They will be paying for that, for destroying God's children. Chapter 31:1. What sorrow awaits those who looks for Egypt for help? See, it was wrong for Judah to look for the other nations for help. They were trusting people and not God. They were serving their own interests instead of God's. didn't consult with him. They didn't want to pay the price of looking to God and repenting. Oh, don't ever bypass God. He knows so much more than we do. He's got this. We don't. If anybody thinks that they are wiser, they need to read this. Oh, and then I want to jump down to, I got to find my chapter. Okay, 31, 6. Though you are such wicked rebels, my people, come and return to the Lord. I know the glorious day will come when each of you will throw away the gold idols and silver images your sinful hands have made. So what are we willing to throw away? What kind of idols in our life? One day we're going to have to get rid of them. They will not be benefiting us. They don't really benefit us now, other than in the worldly side of things. What about the money, the success, the fame? All of these things are exciting whenever we first get them. We take a trip in that car. Or did God provide it for us to serve? That new car that we were so proud of, are we using it to give somebody a ride to the grocery store, to church, or to the doctor? What's our idol today? Okay, so I am going to, oh man, I'm going to have to jump on over. Really read Isaiah. It is so insightful, and I need 3 hours, Elizabeth, to be able to do this. I really do. I need it. And so now I'm going to just jump on into Galatians. Good morning, sweet Lori. Galatians 5, 1 through 12. Oh man, and this is another good one. Paul's summary statement is right in the beginning, verse 1. So, here's another so, and it's all based on what did we just finish with? Let me flip over. Let me get my other Bible out, because I want to tie these two together. So we read in Galatians 4:31, therefore, brothers, we are not children of the slave woman, but of the free woman. Now today, Galatians 5:1, it is for freedom that Christ has set us free. Stand firm then, and do not let yourselves be burdened again by the yoke of slavery. Christ died to set us free. Free from sin, the long list of laws. And it's not a freedom to do whatever we want, whenever we want, because we can, because there's no law against it. It's a freedom to stand firm and live in Him. That yoke of bondage, folks, that leaves us tangled, restricted, frustrated. And there was also bondage in trying to keep 613 rules and the commandments. Let me flip over to my other. I had so much fun studying this. It was just absolutely wonderful, because I thought, man, I don't even know where I'm going to go with all of this. But this is telling us that we don't work out our salvation. There's only 2 ways to break the bonds of slavery to sin. And you know what? What is that? It's death. You either die, or somebody purchases you. And that's the only way a captive or a slave can find freedom. So we know that Christ, both dead to sin and life through death, Oh, wait, let me back up here. In Christ, both dead to sin and life to a new master are accomplished. Those who have died to the old way of life are now the servants of the one who purchased us out of the marketplace of sin with the cost of his own life. And you know, you just keep digging into that. It just gets me so excited, and I just lose my frame of mind, and how do I wrap my mind around all of that? I can't keep a law. You know what? Many times I've rolled a stop sign. If I was working out my salvation based on the laws of the land, you know what? There's a lot of times I've went over the speed limit. There's times I've went under the speed limit. And you know, that's the quickest thing I can think of is to tell you the laws are hard to keep. And then if you get pulled over, the officer might give you a warning and tell you to be careful and slow it down, or he might give you a ticket, a little harsher way to remind you to slow down. But see, with Christ, he's already paid that price. The law for us is like a temporary tutor because it's training us to obey and keep the immature in line until they encountered the life-giving Spirit of God. Flip back over to my other one here. So the Galatians were on the verge of becoming enslaved to the law again. They just couldn't get it. And so Paul said, listen, Paul, tell you this, if you are counting on circumcision to make right with God, then Christ will be of no benefit to you. I'll say it again. If you are trying to find favor with God by being circumcised, you must obey every regulation in the whole law of Moses, all 613. And you know what? That would have been hard to have remembered every single one. Trying to be saved by keeping the law. Thank goodness we don't have to do that. In verse 5, it says, but we who live by the Spirit eagerly wait to receive by faith the righteousness God has promised to us. They wait instead of trying to earn it through good works. So then on down in the end of verse 6, it says, what is important is faith expressing itself in love. So how are we doing on that? Does people see our love? Since faith expresses itself through love, you can check yourself for love of others. And this is a good way to monitor your faith. In verse 7, it says, you are running the race so well. Who has held you back from following the truth? You know, we make a lot of good starts in life. In maybe think of New Year's Eve. You said you had a New Year's resolution. You were off to a good start. You were gonna run that marathon. You were gonna start that new diet. You were gonna read that book. You were gonna read the Bible. You were gonna do things different. You were gonna whatever you had on your plate. But you know what? A good start doesn't get you anywhere. You got to follow through. The Galatians were leaving Jesus to pursue false and empty teachings of man, legalism. Somebody came in and with their own rendition of what the Bible says, or their scroll said, and added their 2 cents to it to tell them how they were supposed to live. And in 10, it says, I'm trusting the Lord to keep you from believing false teachings. God will judge that person, whoever he is, who has been confusing you. So that tells me that whenever we're teaching or whatever your capacity is in leadership, in managing, or the head of your household, make sure that you're speaking the truth to the people that you're talking to. Don't add your 2 cents to what the Bible really means. Study it. Don't confuse anybody. You don't want to cause somebody to fall. And so then finally in verse 11, dear brothers and sisters, if I were still preaching that you must be circumcised, as some say I do, why am I still being persecuted? If I were no longer preaching salvation through the cross of Christ, no one would be offended. I just wish that those troublemakers who want to mutilate you by circumcision would mutilate themselves. And that's where he goes overboard in talking about the circumcision by saying just completely cut away. In that writing, Paul also wished that the legalist would cut off from the congregation of the Lord as required by Deuteronomy 23:1. So don't cause anybody to slip. Okay, so real quick, I'm going to jump into Psalm 63. And verse 1, oh God, you are my God. I earnestly search for you. Now, in the New King James, it says, early I will seek you. And I like that. I mean, that's why I say early in the week, we're kicking off Bible study every day anyway, and we do it early in the morning. But early I will seek you. Make him your priority of the day. The word early also has a sense of eagerness, and that's what we see in the New Living Translation. Either eagerness or immediateness. When you long for something, you want it now. And so think Christmas morning for your kiddos. That whenever the Bible talks about, being like a child, well, that child gets up super early in the morning to come down and look under the Christmas tree to see if the presents are there. What if we were like that child and we got up early with anticipation to start receiving what God had given us that morning early? Let's get it early. Why wait till noon? Why wait till night and thank him for what he did all day? Let's get it going in the morning. See, David says, my soul thirsts for you. My whole body longs for you in this parched and weary land where there's no water. He was seeking him. He needed his friend. His friend was God. In verse 3, it says, your unfailing love is better than life itself. Oh, how I praise you. I will praise you as long as I live, lifting my hands up to you in prayer. You satisfy me more than the richest feast. I will praise you with songs of joy. You may not feel like singing today, whether you're in pain or you've lost your mom. You wouldn't even think about singing. But what if you did sing How Great Thou Art, Amazing Grace, It Is Well With My Soul? Pick whatever one that you know, and just go get into your quiet place and sing it, hum it. Let that just flow over you like living waters, just comforting your soul, your heart. And then verse 23, this is a good one. My oldest daughter called me this morning right while I was getting ready to do Bible study. And I'm all in my little frenzy. I'm doing all of this stuff. And I told her, I'm getting ready to do Bible study. And she said, yes, you can use me as an example today for perfect timing. And I looked and I said, well, you know what? I think Proverbs 23:22 is for you today. So this is to my daughters. It says, listen to your father who gave you life, and don't despise your mother when she is old. Isn't that awesome? And so I told my daughter, I said, you memorize that today and I'll give you $1 today. So thank you so much for joining me today. And yes, Jan says she's thinking about dancing and singing. And Sue, oh, sweet Sue, I was just humming this. You know what? Keep that song in your heart, that song of joy, because Yolanda knows that she's going to see her mama again. And my mom is getting to meet Yolanda's mom right now. Leslie's mom is meeting them. Sue's mom is meeting them. Elizabeth's dad has joined them. Everybody is having a reunion and welcoming her mom into their circle of friends. And you know what? I think that's something to rejoice about. And so you have a blessed day, and I love you, and we will see you tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye.